Depends on the sugar. If you're talking about cane sugar, sucrose, I would try to limit that as much as possible, unfortunately. I gave up eating desserts in my 40s, though I do steal it from people at the table. So Serena orders the desserts for me. But really, sugar is something that is known to be toxic in the long run. It's sucrose, which forms glucose, will attach to your body's components. Your proteins will become what's called glycated, and that's known to drive aging as well. So that's why we try to not eat too much, and so we don't want to eat a lot of sugar. But there are substitutes. There's, for example, monk fruit produces sugar, which Serena has told me to try, and it tastes just as good as sugar, and it doesn't give you that spike, and that should be good for longevity.
What about stevia, maple syrup, honey, coconut sugar?
They're all on a various scale. Honey is not so good in large amounts. Stevia, I think, is okay, but it's all on a scale. I think the best is allulose or monk fruit, and then a bit above that, a bit worse than that is stevia. But at the bad end is glucose, sucrose, and honey. But honey has a lot of goodness in it, so I wouldn't say avoid honey, just don't eat too much of it.
How would you classify sugar in fruit? Like, would that be something you would try and replace desserts with? Like, at the end of a meal, would you just have a piece of fruit?
Yeah, for sure. Fruit is good. I would avoid fruit juices unless they're from fruits that don't have a lot of sugar, but oranges and apples and pineapple have a lot of sugar that I generally avoid.
Okay. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your vitality pills. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the vitality pills and what we can do to make ourselves, eternally young and beautiful?
Yeah. So I've been taking supplements and experimenting on myself for about 20 years. And my father has also been doing it. He's now 83 and in perfect health. And what I learned through my research and through my own self-experimentation and then clinical trials in hospitals is that there's certain molecules mostly from plants that provide the benefits of fasting and exercise as well. And so I was taking these separately. I take a variety of them. Do you want me to go into which ones?
Yes, I mean, don't go into the details, but we would all like to know where these pills are available and what's in them. I'm sure everyone's thinking, where can I get the prescription?
All right. So if you don't have a pen, you can go to my book, and I wrote these chemicals, these supplements down in my book. In the English version, it's page 304. And there are three main things that I take and have taken for over a decade. The one chemical that I take every day is resveratrol, which is the red wine chemical, and that comes from grapes. And so that one gets sprinkled into some yogurt in the morning. I also take a molecule.
That's the one which red wine has, right? But it's the amount you take is equivalent to 750 glasses of red wine per day.
I don't recommend getting it from red wine. So the other molecule is called NMN, NMN, not to be confused with M&Ms. Don't mix those up. NMN is a version of vitamin B3 that makes a chemical in the body that we need for life, and that's called NAD. And as we get older, we make less and less of this. And without NAD, these sirtuins that we discovered, slow aging, remember the genes that we discovered? Mm-hmm. They don't work without a lot of NAD. So as we get older, our defenses decline. And so by taking this supplement, we know that it doubles the levels of NAD back to when I was age 20. And there's now clinical trials that my colleagues at Harvard have done that says that NMN has some health benefits in early studies, such as lowering cholesterol and blood pressure. And so I take that one every day as well. I take a half a gram of that currently. And then the third one is metformin. Metformin is a little bit more controversial because it's a drug. And it's just classified as a drug. And that doesn't mean it's necessarily dangerous. In fact, it's one of the world's safest drugs. It's used for type 2 diabetes to control blood sugar. And what's been found is that people who take metformin tend to live a lot longer, even those who don't have type 2 diabetes, there's evidence that they are protected against cardiovascular disease and frailty and even Alzheimer's disease. And so what I do is I take metformin even though I don't yet have type 2 diabetes.
So metformin, is it a form of this GLP-1 receptor blockers, the skinny pen, Ozempic, which all of Hollywood is apparently on? And they're getting thinner and thinner if you see the red carpet at Oscars. Is that what it is? A form of that?
Well, no, it's actually very different. Metformin will activate your body's energy production and boost mitochondria, which are the little energy packs in your cells. So that's a healthy way to do it. I won't say the brand name, but yeah, these GLP-1 agonists are causing your body to become more insulin sensitive and take up the sugar from your blood and burn fat. And people who take this drug, they do lose weight. So the drug is designed to treat type 2 diabetes, and it's actually a blockbuster, very effective drug. One of my colleagues over in New York, Nir Barzilai, says that in his practice, he essentially now thinks of type 2 diabetes as a curable disease, only in the last few years because of these new drugs. But people who don't have obesity or diabetes are taking it, or they might have obesity, but they certainly don't have type 2 diabetes and they lose weight. The one negative side effect that everyone should be aware of is that people can lose too much fat in the wrong place, including in the face, where you don't want to lose it, especially if you're older. And you can tell if somebody's taking this medicine because they start to look far too thin.
It's called the brand name face, right? I'm not taking the brand name either, but that's what it's called.
Yeah, it is. So you have to be very careful. I would say it's much better to eat less often and exercise, and you'll get much bigger health benefits than taking that drug.
Let's talk a little bit about exercise. What kind of exercise are you recommending? Like a lot of interval training, running, strength, yoga?
Yeah, well, yoga is very important, I think, here
Are you just saying that because Serena is sitting opposite us? Or?
Yeah, Serena's down there, below the stage here. So Serena is the equivalent of me with more of a practice and knowledge about yoga and nutrition and mind and body. And I'm Mr. Biology and Chemicals. But together, we do recommend a lot of stretching and yoga, meditation to reduce stress, though I'm not good at it. And I'm also not good at exercise. I'm often on planes. Serena and I have been traveling for 2 months now, so we don't get a lot of exercise in. That said, I used to, and what I used to do was to exercise 3 times a week and lose my breath. You want to be able to be moving so fast that you cannot carry out a conversation easily. That's when you know you're becoming hypoxic, low in oxygen. And this low oxygen, we think, is a very good stimulator of this stress on the body, and your body responds in a positive way to build muscle, get better blood flow, and also your tissues will put out chemicals that slow aging. So really, if you can just lose your breath for 10 minutes, 3 times a week, that can give remarkable health benefits, lowering the rates of disease by 30%.